And this is the last one. This is apply. Essential question. How will the candidate apply what they have learned in Cycle 1 about students' learning to strengthen and extend students' understanding of content and develop academic language and determine next steps for instruction? Okay, so this is what you've learned, but then you have to pay attention to these pieces. Strengthen and extend students' understanding of content. Okay. Develop academic language. That's the second piece. And the third piece is determine next steps for instruction. So there's 3 parts here. So let's see what they have for level 3 here. Candidate applies what they have learned to describe future instruction for students that is designed to strengthen and extend deep content and academic language development for all students. So a suggestion is you need to be using these ideas in your writing. Strengthen and extend content learning and academic language development for all students. Right? So there's a lot here, and it's all about future instruction. The words that are here are guides for how you should be thinking about your presentation. Second piece, candidate provides next steps for instruction, citing evidence of student learning assessed during the lesson. This is why you need to have some artifact, something they've written, something they've done, something you can see in the video that they've done so that you can say what next steps should happen. So, important, this rubric is all about the application of what you've learned template. So everything has to sit in that template with lots and lots of evidence again. 5 things I set out. You must describe what teaching should follow your lesson. Could be specific or general. So what's the future instruction? You must describe how that instruction will strengthen student understanding and deepen content learning. So this is where you need to be working the higher order thinking part again. Okay? How are you going to keep moving in that direction? You must describe how that future lesson will address, deepen, and extend academic language. Start by referring to the attention to academic language in your own lesson, in your lesson plan as well. So we got 2 things here. One is the higher order thinking. Okay, got to say what's going on with that, what will happen in that, how are you going to move forward in higher order thinking, and how will you move forward in academic language. Those both have to be addressed in order to get a 3. You must set out specific next steps for instruction, building on what you did in the lesson you just taught. Okay, so provides next steps for instruction, and all of that has to be built on what students showed you during your lesson. You must use assessment evidence. Think about moments caught on video, checks for understanding, student work to justify what you believe should be next in instruction. So you can say, I will be teaching this next. This next lesson will be such and such and such and such. But if you don't say, I'm doing this lesson because in the lesson I just taught, my students really understood this, but they needed some help with this. As you can see in this video portion right here, you need to have the evidence. Just make sure you have evidence for why you're moving forward or what direction you might take the lesson in next. So that's level 3. Level 4. Candidate describes targeted instructional adaptations to support, strengthen, or extend whole class, group, or individual learning needs during future lessons. Okay, so when they say targeted instructional adaptations, you need to give evidence again about who and why. Okay, on what your students did in your lesson, give specific evidence again. So I'm going to give this targeted. I had a group of students when they were doing this math problem, all had this kind of place where the problem solving got a little confused. What are you going to do for them? Okay. Address individual needs for future lessons. Consider your 3 focus students. In fact, this is probably a really good idea. If you were to go ahead and say for focus student 1, I will do this, focus student 2, I would do this, and focus student 3, I would do this, it probably moves you to a 4. Remember, you have to have all of these before you get any of these. And the last one, level 5, candidate describes in detail how to support all students in an inclusive, safe, and positive learning environment through UDL principles. This is about inclusion again. As I said before, level 5 is all about class, community, and inclusion. All right. Explaining what steps they will take to ensure that all students are welcome to be part of the class, community, and discourse. Second part, candidates' response demonstrates that they understand all students can learn when assets and learning needs are the focus of instruction. And they're giving you a template right there too. You should say somewhere how you believe that all students can be how your teaching will support all students in the future based on the learning needs and assets, and why that is such an important way to think about your teaching. So I wrote down here, how will you work in your future lessons to bring your students together in their learning as a community, and share your belief in the potential of all students when working from an understanding of their needs and assets. So those are the two things I suggest you do to move to level 5. So I've gone through all 8 of the rubrics. Main things to hold on to: you have to work from all the requirements in level 3. I've highlighted them in color. You might make some kind of check-off sheet for yourself. You might use this as a kind of list for yourself when you go through your materials. Have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? Do pay attention to the moves that would take you easily to level 4 or to 5. And you might think of some particular things at level 4 and level 5. Level 4 is always about building on assets and learning needs. And level 5 is always about inclusion. So if you think about running those threads through all of your work, you can possibly move a number of your level 3s up to 4 and 5 just by doing that. So I hope this has been helpful to you. And that's it.